I greet you all, ladies and gentlemen, all your Royal Highnesses, all your Majesties, all Excellencies that are here on this such auspicious day where we are celebrating Africa together with AIDO Network International and ECHEOS. I greet you on behalf of His and Her Royal Highnesses, our presidents and our founders of AIDO Network. I greet you on behalf of our leadership. I greet you on behalf of our advisory board, management, and all AIDO Network chapters globally. We are AIDO Network. We value our cultural institutions. We are the organization that works very closely with our kings, our queens, our princes and princesses. We work very closely with all like-minded organizations globally. We exist in 4 continents. I would like to mention Africa, I would like to mention USA, Europe, and others we are still counting. We know that in no time we will be the global phenomenon because there is no other organization like us. We call ourselves AIDOers to those that know us. If you resonate with what I'm saying, I would like you to respond in the chat area and say greetings to all AIDOers. Now that you are here, we say do as the Romans do. We welcome you. You are our AIDOer today. I am Princess Tepi from the Royal Batokwa Nation in South Africa. I am also the vice president, one of the vice presidents of AIDO Network. I'm responsible for SADC region. I would like to welcome each and every one of you. It is such a pleasure. We value you for making time for being with us today to celebrate Africa. We know that the month of May, we have been celebrating Africa. We can never say now we are in June. Africa actually, according to me, should be celebrated the whole year. This is where the cradle of humankind is. When you speak of Africa, you are speaking about where human beings first originated. This is the home of kings and queens, princes and princesses. This is where the global knew where the castles are, where the globe knew how human beings are and how human beings ought to behave. Here at home, we love you all. We speak of Ubuntu. That is why you are here. You responded to the call, to the invitation. At home in Africa, that every day is a celebration. When we see visitors, we celebrate, we ululate. Even at the funeral, we still celebrate. Life to us is of reverence. We revere each and every one of you. We love you all. Without further ado, I'd like to call our chairperson of our advisory board, Madame Ulrika, to take up the stage and welcome us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to African Day 2021. A warm welcome to our chief guest, His Imperial Majesty, King Bugane III, King of Embo. The President of AIDO Network International, His Highness Paul Jones Uganda and Her Highness Grace Uganda. All traditional rulers and our Royal Highnesses present. Our Excellencies, the ambassadors from the African Union, resident in the island. The founder and the chairman of the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce, Melida Barrow. The chairperson of ECHEOS International, Princess Pamela Toyin. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ulrike Pullman, the chairman of AIDO Network Advisory Board. I take this opportunity to welcome you what we wish to see. Arts, culture, and heritage, building the Africa we want. This is one of the most important goals we as AIDOers, in cooperation with all the other good networks and opinion leaders, want to reach. To reach that goal, we unite strong individuals, groups, and networks in the whole world. And AIDO is making lots of progress with that, and is one of the most expanding African network on international basis I'm aware of. Why is art and culture so important for all of us? There is a wealth which every civilization has since thousands of years. And Africa is very, very rich with so many magnificent creations all over the continent. I, for myself, admire African culture very much. Arts and culture connects us with our heritage, the wisdom, technology, aesthetics, and spirituality, because arts is communication. And as humans, it is our responsibility to take care of this wealth and protect it for the next generations. Aaron Hubbard said, I quote, "A culture is only as great as its dreams, and its dreams are dreamed by artists." In our planet Earth history, arts, culture, religions were destroyed in wars, civil wars, insane conflicts, thousands of times. What is our responsibility as humans to guarantee a future where people can live free, practice their religion and culture, create unity and power? What can we do now to support this purpose? And here I come to another very important activity AIDO started recently. This is Ubuntu, human rights. We are all humans and want to be treated as humans, all equal, all with the same rights. For instance, the right to play and the right to create, etc. Our job as AIDOs is to give everybody the chance to know their rights, to teach the rights to the young generations, and if needed, to take responsibility for their rights. Ubuntu Human Rights is a strong group with lots of very competent AIDO members. Please join them and help that our dreams for Africa comes through. Thank you very much. Bayeti, Bayeti Buganda, Bayeti Embo Kingdom. Thank you.
Bayeti, thank you very much to our chairperson, Madam Ulrika Paulman. Bayeti to you as well, and we love it when we are all sharing, when we are all learning, when we are all embracing each other. You said it so well. Now that we are all being welcomed, now that we are all in the same room, we have just recently lost one of our AIDOs in the family. So I would like all of us to take a moment of silence as we are all in now. A moment of silence in honor of Ndate Dr. Peter Emolek Kalani, and also who is the uncle to our chairperson, our founder, and the family, and also above everything, our own brother, our own father. Shall we take just a moment of silence? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Once again, now that we have been welcome, I greet all our highnesses, our excellencies, our majesties. I greet ladies and gentlemen. I greet all that are here that have responded to the call to come and celebrate with us. We will continue with our program. Right now, I would like to call upon the youth representative from Africa and diaspora. They are going to be speaking or even giving us a rendition on leading the way to Africa's future. Queen Nina, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Princess Sheppy. I'd like to introduce our youth representation. So if we could have Benjamin Broccoli from Sierra Leone come up, and Obed Dadzi from Ghana. Just say a few words.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma'am Nina Womack. I want to thank AIDO International. I want to thank all excellencies here today to celebrate in spirit the Day for Africa. You see, I want to quote a very important African proverb that says, and I quote, "When there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you." This stems from the fact that we have to stand as upright Africans to integrate irrespective of our differences. We always have to pay attention to the common values, the similarity we share as Africans. not by color, but by love. Today, we are here to talk about the future of Africa and how youth can contribute in ensuring that we have an Africa which cannot just be for Africans, but for people of the world. Because there can be the completion and duty of purpose when we still have people who think the otherwise, despite the fact that we have to work together in ensuring that we effect the change we want to see. I'm quoting the words of Barack Hussein Obama, one-time president for the United States. He said, and I quote, "Change can never come." That includes in Africa. Change can never come in Africa if we still wait for some other people for some other time. We as the youth, we are the change we have been waiting for, and we should take the mantle of leadership to start the actions that will bring forth a particular change. So to the future of Africa, the future of Africa should not be laid in the hands of lazy youth. That is something fundamental. Today, I want to say here very emphatically that as youth, in as much as Africa holds the greatest population of youth, it is very important, it is very salient that we don't just rely on the number, the quantum. We should pay attention to the quality we can add to Africa as youth. That involves our actions in terms of physical sacrifices, in terms of innovative thinking, in terms of love, in terms of humanity, in terms of voluntary actions, in changing the narratives that we've always not wanted to see in Africa. So as a youth, I believe that the headway to Africa, one way very trusting, is to kill the area of hunger and poverty. We know it is very alarming that Africans are poor, but it is not like Africans are poor. It is like Africans are perceiving like they are poor. And until and unless we try to see the riches, the chances we have to make ourselves rich, to make our society, our African continent, to be the best place to live on earth, then we'll tend to realize the essence, the benefit of being youth. Because you cannot be a youth if you are not youthful. They say to be a youth, you have to be useful. To be youthful is to be youthful and to be fruitful. If that is the case, I believe agriculture, among many other things, are things we have to pay attention to in making Africa great again. Because the moment we change the food we eat, now today you see most of our youth languishing, they don't eat the right food. Even the food tells on the quality of thought you have because it builds up the mind. The mind, the orientation of the mind in terms of functionality equally depends on the type of food you eat. So until we start to think on how we can provide nutrient-valued food and how we can boost the agriculture of Africa, then we can be assured that we have a man who is well satisfied in terms of feeding area, such that the man can have time to think innovatively to solve problems. It is very clear that an idle mind is the devil's play workshop. If that is the case, I think agriculture is one of the fundamental ways or fundamental routes we have to tap into dive into the future. That is to say, we have to look at aquaculture, for example. We know agriculture is not only contributing to the provision of food for people in the world, but equally the creation of space in terms of livelihood sustenance. We have lots of people in Africa who has the physical fitness, but they cannot do something to feed themselves. Then I ask myself, why? What is the value? How can you be a youth? You cannot productively affect your society. So I think this is the time for African youth to champion the fight of hunger. And that cannot be by putting our hands in our pocket. It can only be assured when we take the hose, when we take the cutlasses, when we take the fiat, when we take the intention, and when we believe that as youth of this continent, we can help improving the food value content of our continent. That stems from aquaculture, aquaponics, hydroponics, and even aeroponics. Unlike the Western world, we've seen how effectively most of these new technologies have helped in providing food for the people, the community people. But it is yet to be fully recovered. It is yet to be fully actualized in Africa. But then we have the human resource potential. But then we have the youthful population. But then we have the people who can think. But why not acting? Because to think and not do the work is not good. So it is very important that we get into the future by improving on our actions and our sacrifices and controlling the day-to-day runnings of Africa. And let us all integrate and forget about the indifferences we share, but pay attention to our common values and similarities. I think the headway, one way is agriculture. I thank you very much, Your Excellencies, and Mama Nina Womack for giving us the opportunity to share our ideas here.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Benjamin from Sierra Leone. This is one of our prized youth who is a champion in agriculture. He is currently getting his degree in aquaculture studies. So we encourage you to keep on and encourage other youth to get into agriculture in Africa. Thank you.
Good greetings to everyone. I'm Ubuntu from Ghana. I'm a 17-year-old and I am honored to be on here. Being a young person who is into entrepreneurship, activism, and youth empowerment, it has been difficult, trying to pave my way into making my voice heard. To be given this platform and to be given this opportunity by AIDO Network and the King and Queen and Her Excellency Queen Nina. I am glad as a young person, and I have hope that we, the young people, will in the future be included in matters that are about us and involve us. So today we are talking about how we can use culture, heritage, and to unite the African continent or to bring about Pan-Africanism. The African continent can be connected in various ways through culture. An example is the Ga people of Ghana. The Ga tribe of Ghana can trace their roots to the people of Nigeria. I, as a young person, feel like if we are able to promote this ideology of a united network, of a united lifestyle, of how we can connect with each other as African people, we will solve the problem of identity crisis. I've been involved in diaspora relations that is helping young people in the African diaspora to, come to the African continent, think about the African continent, and relate to the people of the African continent. Then one problem that we found, or one problem that I found in my work, is young people having this identity crisis. Oh yeah, I'm Black, but then which part of Africa do I come from? I'm Black, but then I can't recognize it Ghana. I'm Black, but I can't recognize it Nigeria. Where do I go to? But then I feel if we are able to promote the ideology of we are one African continent, we are one African people, and it is not just an ideology, but it is something that we can find in our way of life, in our food, in our way of dressing, in our way of speaking. If we are able to promote that ideology, we'll be able to solve the identity crisis that most Africans, especially in the diaspora, have, and then bring about a change, bring about a united concept, a concerted effort to make the continent a better place. And then this Saturday, we'll be having an event with Queen Nina on how young people can contribute to the development of our continent. And then I would want to invite each and every one of you to join us and come listen to we, the young people, and what we have to say in the development of our continent. Thank you.
Thank you, Obed Dabsy. And that concludes our youth representation. Like Obed said, next Saturday, in partnership with AIDO, we will have a complete youth day discussing the leadership and Africa's future. So we will cover topics from agriculture to media, entrepreneurship, and we also will have opportunities from speakers who have access to funding for youth entrepreneurship. So if you know any youth in need of funding for their businesses, please have them join AIDO and myself on next Saturday's event, youth event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to such wonderful youth. They're so eloquent, so very, very, very well directed. They are level-headed. Thank you to Queen Nina for bringing them. Thank you very much. May I request that we get muted until it is time to speak. Thank you. Right now, we are going to be hearing from Mordecai, our own youth representative from AIDO Network. Mordecai?
Thank you, Princess Seppi. Greetings to all, greetings to the president of AIDO Network International. Greetings to the kings and the queens of the global community. Greetings and all protocols observed. I'd like to take this opportunity that I've been afforded to thank our organization, AIDO, for giving us this opportunity to speak on the issues of transformation in the African continent in terms of aligning it to the AU 2063 agenda, that we can participate and transform our society. And those opportunities can only happen if we have support from the relevant people that need to support us. So my brief presentation today just to greet and also to send out a special message that we do need our African leaders. We do need our royal kings and queens to make space for youth. What do I mean when I say make space for the youth? I'm saying that our kings, our leaders, they need to now take the opportunity to start being in the center of leading the conversation on transformation in terms of youth in our continent. There is an opportunity and the time is now, and I am proud to be part of this amazing organization. And I would like to say Happy Africa Day to you all, and let's continue to transform the generation that we want to see and the Africa we want to see. Thank you.
Spot on. And he did not mince his words. He says, please make space. And what I would like to say, Mordecai, and all our youth, just to all our women as well, if the space is not made, bring your camp chair. Bring your camp chair and be at that table. And this is your time. Thank you very much for speaking into the Agenda 2063. What we are saying, though, the adults, is we will make our mark and help you and to work through the Agenda 2030. In this decade, let us make an impact. By the time we hand over the baton to you into 2063, we know that we would have also made an impact. That is why you are inviting all our cultural leaders, all our political leaders, and every leader who is here to make space for you. Thank you very much for that very clear message. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome and also to greet all those that have just joined us. You are at AIDO Network, the celebration of Africa. You are also welcome. We value you. We thank you for making time to come and celebrate with us. Thank you very much. Right now, we will be hearing from Nigel Binns. Nigel Binns is an accomplished Black American portrait sculptor and painter of the Mother of Humanity Monument. Are you here, sir?
My name is Nigel Binns. I'm a portrait sculptor. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my background, but first I must thank you for Queen Nina's invitation to AIDO, Your Excellencies. Greetings to all of you, and I'm honored to be able to present the Mother of Humanity Monument Project. Queen Nina, we do have the slides on a time basis. Great, thank you. My background is as a martial artist. I was trained in the martial arts, which gave me a perspective of being able to analyze things on a very, very deep level. So from there, I went into teaching martial arts. And I've been teaching through my military career as a member of the United States Air Force and into my present day as a civilian. In my work as a martial artist, I have written a number of articles and books. My most important book is Muber Wrestling, which documents the fact that the martial arts, the thing that I love so much, actually has an African origin. It is the oldest martial arts in the world. So I've documented that and went on to publish other books and magazine articles and so forth. So my career as an artist and an author has been ongoing since my introduction to the martial arts. With the martial arts, it afforded me the opportunity to work with a lot of people, mostly in the fields of art, whether it was literature or film or the fine arts. Next slide, please. My career has given me wonderful experiences with artists and entertainers. Michael Jackson is one of the highlights of my career. Shirley Temple, Jackie Chan, many, many people, as you may be able to see here from the slides. And my work continues. It's about people. So I'm very happy to be able to continue this tradition. Next slide, please. One of the two things that I'm working on currently is a life-size statue of Tupac Shakur, which we're working with the Tupac estate to get placed and made in, I would think, about the next year or two. The statue on the right is Marcus Garvey, the father of Pan-Africanism. That statue has been completed. It's a life-size statue that will be unveiled in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, coming next year, August. Next slide, please. In between that time, I'm currently working on a series of portrait statues, from Sheikh Anta Diop all the way to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And everyone that you see here, I will be creating life-size statues. The one in the center, Patrice Lumumba, I'm currently working with the Lumumba estate to create that for his home in Democratic Republic of Congo. Next slide, please. The Mother of Humanity Monument has been one of the highlights of my career. I've been blessed after the riots in Los Angeles to find a way to bring people together, and I did that through creating a monument that represents all of humanity. Never before in history has there been something that honors not only Africa, but the Black woman for being the mother of human beings all over the planet. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I was able to craft her image to represent all of humanity, which is something that was a challenge, but you can look and can identify all ethnic groups in the way that she has been crafted. Next slide, please. So we finally unveiled the 16-foot tall bronze Mother of Humanity in Los Angeles on Mother's Day, May 11th, 1996. Next slide, please. And it was my intention to continue to place 6 more in different locations. That would be Africa, Australia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain. And all of these locations had suffered trauma from the last 1 to 400 years and still ongoing. And so the Mother of Humanity represented a healing in all of these locations. So while I was working to get placement for this, Africa came into focus. Next slide, please. So we created an organization, a nonprofit organization called the Mother of Humanity Monument Foundation. And it became our mission then to place the Mother of Humanity in Cameroon. Next slide, please. So what I'm about to share with you now is the Mother of Humanity project as it is developing in Cameroon. And hopefully soon we will all be taking off to the motherland. Next slide, please. So the Mother of Humanity Monument, a unique structure, 313 feet tall. It is a mixed-use building that has 3 levels on the base. It has interior spaces inside the globe and can be accessed all the way up into the top of the statue. Next slide, please. As we see, there are many attributes to the statue. So in addition to it being a beautiful looking statue, there are many attributes. The feather has a specific meaning. The white breast has a specific meaning, representing the riches of the continent of Africa that is feeding all of the world. The outline of the statue, the monument, is in the shape of the continent of Africa. So there are 7 attributes, and I know I'm a bit limited for time, but please feel free to become familiar with these, because unlike most statues that are purely decorative, everything about the Mother of Humanity is very specific and has a deeper spiritual meaning. Next slide, please. Cameroon is going to be the home for the Mother of Humanity Monument. When I began my search, I had many places in mind: Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania. Then someone from an organization called ARC Jammers, which ARK means Act of Random Kindness, contacted us and invited us to consider Cameroon. Next slide, please. In 2016, we made our journey to Cameroon at the invitation of the government of Cameroon, and we were very, very warmly welcomed. I took a delegation of 7, and we we really were very, very well received. Next slide, please. We are there here in this photograph with the officials and the community leaders. We are in Kribi. Kribi is the location where we've settled that will become the home of the Mother of Humanity Monument. Next slide, please. So here was a meeting with the Prime Minister, my delegation, and the Art Jammers team and members of the Cameroon government, where I was able to present the Mother of Humanity Monument project. Next slide, please. Following that meeting, we were given an introduction to an organization called SEMEC, and SEMEC is pretty much an organization in China that works on construction. And so they sent a 7-delegation team to my home here in Los Angeles to meet with me and express their great interest in working with the project. Next slide, please. So here we are, the Art Jammers team and the Art Jammers team and SEMEC, and we are at the Mother of Humanity Monument in Watts. Next slide, please. The Mother of Humanity Monument is very unique in all the world. It is not the largest monument by far, but I believe it is going to be the most significant monument that we've seen in a long time. So whereas we won't be able to claim to be the largest, we do feel we're going to be extremely important for humanity. Next slide, please. The structure, as I mentioned, is a mixed-use structure. So the globe will serve as a projection screen, LED screen that can be used to highlight and showcase documentaries, images, and anything dealing with working with humanity, uplifting people, and bringing people together. Next slide, please. The first tier of the building, as I had mentioned, serves as a foundation for different offices and different facilities. Here we have 3 of 7 museums, and each museum corresponds to the 7 attributes that I shared with you earlier. So for example, the feather of peace and truth and righteousness is represented in the first museum, where we will honor women around the world and throughout the ages who have done things to uplift humanity. And then we'll move on to the other museums. So there will be 7 in all, each corresponding to one of the attributes. Next slide, please. When we go inside the Mother of Humanity structure, we will be able to go all the way up to the hand and walk out onto the palm of the hand. We'll find that there's a glass floor, so it's going to be a very exciting and exhilarating experience for some, a little scary for others, but it will enable us to have an experience and a view of the location around the surrounding the Mother of Humanity Monument. Next slide, please. Going further up, we'll get to the top of the monument, and inside, at the location of the dot on the forehead or the pineal gland, we've created a observation deck, and it is named in honor of Stevie Wonder. It's called Inner Visions. And through there, we'll be able to get a look at the expansive area before us, before the Mother of Humanity. Next slide, please. At the entrance to the area we're calling Motherland, we'll have the hotel, the Umoja Hotel, a hotel of unity, and it sits right in the middle of what you'll soon see are 55+ African cultural pavilions that surround Motherland. Next slide, please. So Motherland, the Mother of Humanity Monument is based in a nature park that we call Motherland. It is surrounded by a body of water we'll call Moon Bay, and inside that you'll see the architecture of Africa. You'll see the continent carved out there. Surrounding Moon Bay are different buildings that work as facilities whether it's retail spaces, et cetera, you'll be able to read the legend and see all of the areas that are surrounding Moon Bay that comprise Motherland, the nature park. And please forgive me, I know I'm rushing, but I know I have a little time. Next slide, please. There are resorts, and this is one of the key resorts that you'll be able to stay in. It's called the House of the Americas, and it features things of little known history in different regions. There are 4 regions that we will cover, which will include Asia, Africa, Europe, and so forth. So that's just an example of one. Next slide, please. Another key attraction, balloon rides. Next slide, please. And here we have Moon Bay and the Mother of Humanity Monument in the background, and other attractions such as boat rides around Moon Bay. Next slide, please. This is what Motherland will look like at night with everything lit up. There's a very interesting story behind the configuration of the design. Next slide, please. I've taken the placement of the buildings around Moon Bay from the galaxy, from the universe, following the ancient African tradition, as above, so below. This is what it looks like. Next slide, please. You can see from the top the swirling pattern. That swirling pattern is repeated on the patterns of our hair. It's repeated on our fingerprints. It's repeated all throughout nature. So this is the swirling pattern that you see. And right in the center of that is the Black woman, the center of our universe. Next slide, please. Again, as above, so below. Next slide, please. So this is just an overall look at Motherland, and some of these images I've explained earlier. Next slide, please. So here we are. This is representing the 55 plus, and I say plus because it includes the African diaspora. So these cultural pavilions surround Motherland sort of like an embrace, like a hug. And at the center is the Umoja Hotel. Next slide, please. Every African nation will have a pavilion that's being offered. The exterior of the pavilion will all be the same, but the interiors can be decorated and designed to highlight and showcase the best of African culture, food, traditions, customs, and clothing and music. Next slide. Here is the look, an aerial view of Moon Bay and the Mother of Humanity at night. Next slide, please. And this is the first slide, and again, it's a rendering of Motherland and the Mother of Humanity night view. Next slide, please. This is my contact information. I can be contacted here at the Mother of Humanity Monument Foundation, and we're located here in the United States, and we welcome your interest, your assistance, and any inquiries into the product. Next slide, please. So once again, I want to graciously thank you for the invitation. I'm sorry I had to rush a bit, but I do know we're on a time limit. So thank you very much, and peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings to you, Nigel. We are blessed to have you in this season. We are blessed to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. That is Nigel. And can we please follow him on his all social media platforms? May we support him. That is what is important. May we support him. May we appreciate him. Nigel, thank you very much for letting us into this magnificent body of works. You really are a blessing to humanity. And I resonate a lot when you say the 7 attributes, which also in my world could also be representing our 7 main senses as human beings. That was wonderful. That's what I'm taking home with. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let us go on with our program. We are going to be hearing from Her Royal Highness, Queen Nina Womack. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Princess Sheppy. And thank you, Nigel, for such a wonderful presentation and all the magnificent things that you are doing as the diaspora for Africa, which leads me into a brief discussion. My name is Queen Mother Nina Womack. I am from Los Angeles, California, and I invited Nigel to come speak today. This is monumental as far as the need in Africa today for us to connect together with the diaspora. And this is my platform here in the United States. I was recently installed as a Queen Mother of Development in Ghana. And so my mission, and I'm very happy to announce that I became ambassador, US ambassador for AIDO Network International. And we intend to unite the diaspora with Africa for mutual trade, for investment, for knowledge sharing, and so forth. And so this is the start of some wonderful work that will transpire between us. I just want to remind everybody on Africa Day that the African diaspora our population is about 140 million people throughout the world. And as we know, Africa has a population of about 1.2 billion. So it is important for us to join forces and learn how to work together, for us to accept Africa as our ancestors, as our brothers and sisters. We have the same blood, but as you guys know, due to the transatlantic slave trade, we were taken from the African countries and dispersed. But now in 2021, in the 21st century, it is time for us to unite and to build together. So this is my platform, is to let the diaspora know about the beauty and the potential in Africa, and let Africans know that embrace us as brothers and sisters so we can work together, so we don't have so many other ethnicities and so forth coming in to build in Africa, but we as the diaspora can take the opportunity to build with our brothers and sisters. I don't know if you guys know, but there is an initiative in America, in the US, that was launched in 2019, which is called Prosper Africa. Prosper Africa. And this was devised by under the Trump administration, also with the USAID, to create two-way trade between the US businesses and Africa. So there are funding opportunities that I closely follow, that I'm involved with, finding out information about the investment possibilities and the trade possibilities between the US and Africa. And especially the US government under this Prosper Africa initiative is focused on empowering US businesses to trade with Africa in areas of agriculture, alternative energy, entrepreneurship, and so forth. So it's important for anybody in the diaspora who is listening live here today with us on Africa Day, that we must look to Africa. We must go over there and do the research on our own to see all the potential that is available, you know, not just in sub-Saharan and West Africa, but East Africa, North Africa, Africa as a whole. I was blessed to have been bestowed some land in Ghana, which I'm planning some agricultural projects with fellow Ghanaians, so we can build together and help bring economic development and workforce opportunities to the youth in Ghana. And I'm looking forward to bring development and investment in other African countries as well. Again, if you want to know any more about this initiative, you can contact me through AIDO Network, or you can also contact me directly at nina@royalafricancompany.com. Again, nina@royalafricancompany.com. And thank you so much for giving me this time to speak. I love you all. One Africa, and happy Africa Day to everyone. Thank you.
Happy Africa Day to you too, Your Highness Queen Nina. Happy Africa Day to you. And know that you are one of us. Know that you are most welcome. And we appreciate your love, your passion to always be investing back at home. That is exactly how we work. As here, you'll see that the founders of AIDO Network, they are actually emanating from Uganda. Yes, they are now the citizens of the United Kingdom, but actually it is because of that love and passion of always planting back at home. We never forget where we come from. So we know that you are one of us by just that sign, that you are wanting to forever be planting back. We welcome you and the work that you are, the magnificent work that you are doing. Thank you very much.
Bayete to the Imbo Kingdom. Bayete.
Bayete. Bayete. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue with our program. Thank you very much. And we are now going to be hearing from Dr. Melida Harris Barrow, the chairperson of the 6th Region Chamber of Commerce. She is going to be telling us about the reconciliation, reconciling the diaspora to the continent.
Greetings to Her Highness and His Highness Grace and Paul Uganda, government officials, kings and queens, and our special guests today. I want to thank all of you. Such a blessing to be here among my brothers and sisters. I am presently here in Panama, working very hard to bring us all together. I have wonderful news for everyone here. This event, or I should say journey, my ambassador, Namboka, we always have to use the word journey and not an event or a program. We made a note that that's what we are going to do. It is a special day today, and I want to thank God for bringing us all together today. The journey of reconciliation of Mother Africa and her diaspora. I am one. I was born here in Panama City, Panama, and my background also is from the Caribbean. So I'm pretty much knowledge about the Latin community in North America. I lived in the US for 45 years. So I'm well-rounded, thank God. I know I'm beginning to learn a lot from my African brothers and sisters, and that goes to King Uganda and Grace Uganda and Irenyo have taught me a lot. I want to begin by saying that the government of Panama have accepted my presentation for the kings and queens to come to Panama for reconciliation with our brothers and sisters here. This is a miracle. And I'm going to say it again. This is a miracle. And I'm going to tell you why. There is so much that is happening in my country. We have gone through so much to the point where we cannot wear braids. We've been forbidden to wear braids and our natural hair. And this is still going on today. We have been going through so much, but not anymore. This vision that God gave me 3 years ago, I want to thank, a special thank you to King, His Highness Uganda, because he accepted my vision. He saw that what we are doing today, it needs to happen. I have to say also that this vision is not my vision. This vision is from God. And this vision is going to happen just by the government telling me. I met with 12 ministers and all 12 ministers agreed, and it will be presented to the president next week in order for us to move on. One of the things also I want to talk about, and I want to be real with everyone, and we have to realize something. Not everyone from Latin America or the Caribbean, or I should say the Americas, can come back to Africa. But one of the things is that we are all the same people, and we have to begin now to acknowledge that. That is something that we have to work on very closely, because a lot of us in Latin America, even with my complexion, have been denying who they are. They're denying who they are because they don't know who they are. So we have to now begin to teach one another. I begin to teach you of what has happened during slavery, and I want you to teach us what has happened in Africa. We have been separated. We have been in bondage for so long. I met a banker yesterday, close to being the head of the bank, and he said something to me that touched me. He said, why is it that our people don't believe in themselves? They don't have no value in themselves. And I responded to him. I said, because you have oppressed us for so long, we forgot who we are. But no longer would that happen when you oppressed a whole continent and the world, all of us in the world. Of course, you're not going to have any value. When you tell me I can't wear my hair naturally, when you tell me I can't walk in a bank because I have braids in my hair, what do you expect? But now that our kings are coming to Panama and queens are coming to Panama, there's going to be a big change. And that change is this: the change that not only you are coming to us to atone, but also you don't realize that you are also going to build something great within you, because Africa cannot rise. It cannot rise without your children. So you have to come to us and we to you in order to build something that the world don't want us to build. We have to connect, not only in dancing, not only in the very things that we do on a daily basis, but we have to begin the business once we begin to start healing. Healing is the key. We don't know who we are, because if we did, we would already be together. Once we know who we are, then we will embrace African Americans, Latinos in America, in the Americas. We all think that we're different. We all think that we don't know one another. But let me tell you something. All the things that we have been talking about, I've heard my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, and this is the experience I'm telling you. And please don't criticize me, but me from another, coming from Latin America, this is what I hear. We are Nigerians, and we are more powerful from the rest of the continent. We are more knowledgeable. We are wiser. No, we can't do that anymore. We have to change the mindset. You were taught to say those things. We cannot say those things anymore. We in Latin America don't know that kings and queens exist. In North America, we don't know that you exist. But guess what? We are going to make history. And this vision that God gave me and the blessing that His Highness listened and said yes. The blessing that Panama is saying yes, even though of the racism. You understand? It cannot be anyone but God. So what I want to say today also is that this is going to be worldwide. This is not just going to be in Panama, but the rest of the Caribbean island and my brothers in Latin America, they are coming. They are coming to witness something historical that never happened before. When it comes to business, we have to do business together. We have the second largest free zone in the world in Panama. Not one African country or business is here. In the Panama Canal, we built the Panama Canal. Black men came from the Caribbean and built that canal. And not one of my brothers from Africa knows that we built that canal. And now it's time in order for what they build for us to work together, you see. So we're no longer separated. Now we're gonna come together because I am so tired of watching us trying to be something else other than ourselves. Now is the time to be ourselves. Now is the time to feel good of our brothers and sisters that are being successful and not criticize each other. The African Union, I beg you, from the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce, we are here present. I built that platform. You know why? I built it for you. For you now to come to our region and begin business. It is a platform for you. It is a bridge in order for you to come now. Because we're so afraid so many times to think of the language. Let's not think about the language. Let's think that we are here waiting for you. And in closing, I want to say, all of you that are present here today, let's stay in communication. Let's begin to build. Let's begin to love one another and build one another. You see, God didn't create us to be beggars. He created us to be builders and creators. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Barrow.
Thank you.
Those words are very powerful, and we are pleased to hear that the government of Panama has given us green light. I'm also pleased that you have made this announcement in the presence of all our kings, our royals, and the representatives of the governments of more than 7 countries of Africa. We know that we have to travel with we must have representation from all these countries. So it's a timely message. We congratulate you, and we appreciate the hard work that you and your team have done. Is Krishna here?
No, she could make it. She's on a tour here in Panama, educating our Black brothers and sisters of what's coming.
Thank you very much. I will allow Ambassador Namboka will respond to you later.
Yes.
But thank you very much for that message on behalf of AIDO Network International. We say, well done, and bayete. So our host seems to have a technical fault. So I would like to pass the microphone to Princess Toyin Ogunwusi which is gonna bring in our ambassadors from African Union countries. I am pleased to notice that they're all here, including Nigeria, and my own ambassador, His Excellency Motu. You're most welcome. Princess, could you please take over? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Highness, Paul Uganda. Thank you so much. Greetings to you all, our kings and queens, princesses, princes, chiefs, our African ambassadors from Ireland and the UK. Today, we are amplifying the voices and visions of our ambassadors. And the main focus of our ambassadors, the African ambassadors in Ireland, is to promote African interests. I suppose in Ireland and UK and in Europe as well, is to promote African interests and to strive for the improvement of relations between their country and the country they represent. I want to particularly read out the names actually of our ambassadors. We have Her Excellency Mrs. Yolisa Maya. She is Ambassador of South Africa to Ireland. We also have here His Excellency Kurumi Nsosale. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that well. He's Ambassador of the Kingdom of Lesotho to Ireland. We have His Excellency Mr. Michael Muber. He's Ambassador of Kenya to Ireland. His Excellency Mr. Mohamed Belura. He's the Ambassador of Algeria to Ireland. We also have His Excellency Etetu Daisy Odofa, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Ethiopia to Ireland. And in addition, we have His Excellency Mr. Julius Peter Motu. He is Ambassador of Uganda to the United Kingdom. I welcome you all to this very important event. Even though Africa Day is May, we're still in the Africa Day mood. So we're, of course, Africa celebrates all the time. We never cease celebrating. Before I start throwing arrows of questions at our ambassadors, I want to particularly thank the Ambassador of Lesotho to Ireland for giving me the opportunity to make this happen. Today is a very great day, and a seed was sown before it birthed today, and that seed was actually sown by the Ambassador of Lesotho to Ireland, who actually came up with this initiative. Before I said, okay, as an ambassador of AIDO in Nigeria, it would be nice for AIDO to be a part of this. So thank you very much, Lesotho Ambassador to Ireland. I won't waste too much of our time. I will start with the ambassador, Algerian ambassador to Ireland. I'll tell you a little bit about him, and then he will take us on a journey to Algeria. So we have His Excellency Mr. Mohamed Belura. He was appointed as the first resident ambassador of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria to Ireland in September 2020. He presented his letters of credence to His Excellency President Michael Diggins in October of the same year. His Excellency Mr. Belura joined the Algerian Diplomatic Service back in September 1982. Wow. He served throughout his career in several positions and countries such as Accra, Ghana, in Chad, in the Netherlands, in the United Nations, in New York as well. Before his designation as ambassador to Ireland, Mr. Belura held between 2010 and 2020 at the headquarters of Foreign Affairs Algiers positions of head of United Nations and Regional Conference Division and head of Prospective and Policy Planning Division. I will start. Are you here, Excellency?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Now, the question is, in many African countries, Chinese have invested heavily in roads, cell towers, and other infrastructures that has helped the poor country's economy experience tremendous growth. What would we make of China's surging interest in Africa? What should we make of this, please?
Thank you very much. As you did presented me, I would like first to thank the AIDO network for this good opportunity, both for giving us possibility to talk to the African and other audience, and also to celebrate together the Day of Africa, which we mean it as a day of remembrance, of a day of joy, and of a day of where we can all remember our struggle decades ago for liberty and for independence, but also the importance for us to remain united, to speak one voice, and to continue our struggle against underdevelopment now, and to make the continent, which is a land of opportunity and of wealth and of good people, a land of progress also and development for all its people, all its countries. The goal of independence and freedom and sovereignty can't be achieved while there is no real economic, technical, and social development for African countries. And this can be achieved only with the unity, and if we can put hand in hand. And I'm glad to notice that the African Union is doing very well in this field. And the latest achievement is the Common African Area for Free Trade. And this is really an opportunity for us to take and to promote African trade among each other, which now is less than 5%, while we do trade with other countries. We don't do that much. And this for obvious reasons, and in particular for lack of adequate infrastructure, lack of integration, lack of complementarity in industry or in production, or and a lack also for sufficient networks, all kinds of networks between African countries. And this brings me to your question, Madam. This brings me to your...
Yes, we can hear you.
Bring me to your question on the, in terms of expansion, in terms of trade, development within China, infrastructures, education. Hundreds of millions of people are getting out from poverty in a few decades. All the figures that came from China are records, are historic records. China are doing a lot of trade and a lot of cooperation with many parts of the world, including Africa. What should we do with this cooperation? Of course, we need to take profit of this cooperation. Not only should we get projects done by Chinese in our countries, or get products imported from China to our countries, but also we should prepare ourselves to do these things ourselves, to make sure that there is a transfer of technology, of know-how, and make sure that which is being done now today by Chinese companies could be done tomorrow by African companies. What we are importing now in terms of goods, industrial goods, technological goods, electronic goods, and whatsoever may be produced in Africa. And this comes through on one hand by our partnership with China and others, developed countries also, and also by a good policy and good governance being implemented in our continent and each country of the continent. So if we make the good place for education, we give people the right place in our institutions, in our systems, if we give to the society the opportunity to engage in productive efforts, in development efforts, I'm sure we can get our objectives and make sure in the coming years or in less one decade or so, we can make the partnership today of China as an opportunity for Africa to develop more, to strengthen its independence and its sovereignty, and to make progress and wealth for its populations.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Mohamed Belura. You made two very important points. As Africans, we must open our eyes. The AU is helping in terms of the African area for free trade, and it is an opportunity for us to promote African trade, which is, like you said, is less than 5% now. So we have a lot of work to do. And then you also said that we should prepare ourselves to do things ourselves. Importation of goods should start to stop. We should be able to produce stuff that we import. We should be able to produce them in Africa. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohamed Belura of the Algerian Embassy in Ireland. Thank you so much. Our next ambassador here is the Lesotho ambassador to Ireland. The Lesotho ambassador to Ireland.
Buenos días.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ah, okay. Because a voice interrupted and I wasn't sure what I heard.
Yeah.
So, he is an alumni of the University of Newcastle upon Tyne in England. In 1989, he was awarded Golden Key National Honor Society Award in recognition of outstanding scholastic achievements and excellency at the University of Massachusetts in the USA. His Excellency is on a special assignment. He was commissioned by the African Union Trade Ministers to lead a delegation of 3 ministers from Mauritius and Gabon to negotiate the extension of AGOA in January 2015 in Washington, D.C. He did the magic, and AGOA was duly renewed for another 10 years. Welcome, Your Excellency. From your perspective, as the head of a foreign mission of an African country with the unique title of Kingdom in the Sky, can you shed light on how your mission in Ireland engages those in diaspora to adapt their activities to the specific needs of Lesotho?
Thank you very much, Princess, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, Bayede.
Bayede.
Yes, I am from the Kingdom of Lesotho. Officially a kingdom still now. We have a king, King Julius III, who is the king of Lesotho. Although we are a democracy, he is a constitutional king. So with limited powers, the admin powers remain with the prime minister. Yes, thank you very much for introducing me like that, Princess, and we do really appreciate today, and I would say Happy Africa Day to every one of us. It is really important to celebrate Africa in this way. Before I come to your question, which is quite specific, let me say that I really appreciate what I'm hearing from the presentations from the US and presentations from Panama and diaspora in general, and from youth representatives in this forum. It makes my heart really laugh, and with a lot of enthusiasm when I hear people talking about going back to Africa, because the question of us being divided, others having come to Europe and Americas about 500 years ago in that condition, and also the false history, or maybe true, that some of us who remain in Africa sold others to the slave traders and so on and so forth. It's really a painful type of history that we can really refer to it, but I think it's time now that we should heal, all of us, all Africans of all shades, because Africa is blessed with many races, from those who are dark and to those who are light, So we have to be very, very, very thankful in that. Now, apparently, when I was in the United States, I happened to be elected president of the African Students Union within the university, and I was able to connect the African diaspora in the United States, those who think they are not part of Africa, but we're able to bring them together with those who come from Africa. So that is important. Anyway, coming to your question, as ambassador of Lesotho, let me say here first, for those who don't know, Lesotho was a colony of Britain for 150 years. And we got our independence in 1966. That's when we became independent. And from that time, the government of Ireland has been assisting our government to set up institutions in Lesotho. So that's where our friendship starts, about 60 years ago. So my mission as a head of mission here is really to represent my government to the government of Ireland, but also to promote trade between the two countries, between Ireland and Lesotho. But as you know, and my predecessor the former speaker just said that we are still lagging behind in terms of the actual beneficial trade that we can do between the two countries. And of course, we have got about 60 members of the diaspora here in Ireland. But according to what Pamela said earlier, I don't only look at my own diaspora from Lesotho. The reason why I've been involved in their activities is to really indicate the fact that not only am I interested in the Lesotho diaspora per se, but I'm interested in the whole African diaspora that lives in Ireland. And we haven't done much as Africans in general to also take advantage of providing an exchange in the trade department. We haven't done that because of several other impediments that have already been alluded. And it is time now, I think, for all of us, those in Africa and those in Europe and the United States, that we should come together and look back at our motherland. You don't have to go back to Africa. You don't have to go and learn African language. Those who want to learn, they can learn it. But we have to work together to promote our continent. And unless and until we do that, and we allow ourselves to be divided, then we won't go anywhere. But I'm glad that there's this kind of movement where people are beginning to see Africa from a different perspective, where we are also going to look at our brothers in Europe and in the United States and also in South America from a different perspective, to say we are brothers and sisters. Let us work together. So, of course, we are involved in trying to organize the diaspora, but there isn't much trade happening here so far. For those who are here are mostly employed. But my duty as an ambassador is to look after their welfare, to ensure that they are treated well here. And then I think from this platform, then we can be able to build something that can be of the benefit for all of us. Mind you, Africa is 30 square kilometers, 30 million square kilometers. It's such a big continent with 55 countries, with vast agricultural lands, with all kinds of minerals, with forests, with deserts, with everything that you can think of. So our continent is quite rich, and that's where we have to go. That's where all Africans have to go. All those people who have got some African blood in them, all over the world. There's your continent. Let's go and work on it. I thank you.
So thank you, Your Excellency. It's very, very important. Like you said, we all have to look back at our continent and we have to build it. Whether we're in the diaspora or we're actually living in Africa, it is very pertinent that we do something about our continent. Thank you, Your Excellency. I will move now to the woman amongst the men. As a journalist and an author, I'm an advocate for women. I just try to get help for those that are vulnerable and those who experience marginalization, those that are disadvantaged. And I believe that by amplifying their voices, I strive to accelerate progress towards gender equality. Today, we have a very powerful woman here. They say every woman is a natural born diplomat because we're always diplomatic in everything. Diplomatic in the home front, diplomatic at work, in the community, diplomatic with the family, with children, with everybody, with our associates. So because of that, we are natural diplomats. And I think now Africa should start looking at having more women in the diplomatic sector. So I have this wonderful woman, Her Excellency Judith Yolisa Maya. She is actually an admitted attorney with more than 25 years post-admission legal experience as a private legal practitioner and later as a legal advisor and then senior manager in government. She has a passion for community development with a specific bias for empowerment of women and youths. I think this is very important. Yolisa, as she likes to be called, has served in the Democratic South African government in various capacities at senior management level since 1998, having also served the government of the former homeland of Tanseke in various capacities as a student professional and later as a state law advisor since 1983. She's currently serving as the ambassador of South Africa to Ireland, and she's been there since April 2019. She's responsible for strengthening bilateral political, cultural, and economic ties with the host country, with a specific focus on attracting and growing trade and investment opportunities. Welcome, Your Excellency, Mrs. Judith Yolisa Meyer. Now, the question is, getting into and staying in positions of power is difficult because of roles traditionally expected of women. Across the world, women in leadership positions are hampered by numerous obstacles. I mean, we know that every year the UN hammers that into our ears. Now, are there any peculiar challenges that you face as a woman, as an ambassador, as a wife, as a mother, as a feminist? Are there any particular challenges that you face as a diplomat?
Thank you, Your Royal Highness, Princess Pamela. A very good afternoon or good evening to all the distinguished guests on this platform. As we continue to celebrate Africa Day and Africa Month, looking back with appreciation at the work that our forebears did for us, of fighting to free us from the shackles of colonialism and apartheid, we appreciate this opportunity. I know that I still have a question to answer, but just allow me to acknowledge you, the work that you do, and especially the AIDO network and all the excellencies that are on the platform, particularly Ingonyama Yasembo, Bayete Makulukulu Kapungani. My colleagues on this platform, our sisters and brothers in the diaspora who may be with us, we are honored. As I said, I would like to repeat this. And we highly appreciate this opportunity. We are thankful that you have taken the time to partner with us, because we need to continue to grow and elevate our continent, especially at a time like this, when our economies have been ravaged by COVID-19, where we have to rebuild, and not just rebuild, but to build back better. We think that with platforms like this one, that is possible. It looks more and more attainable, because this shows unity. This shows the strength that we always have when we are united. We are particularly enthused, as this is at a time when we have just operationalized the Africa Free Trade Area, bringing along the youngest population globally, and a population of 1.3 billion people, and an economy of a GDP of about 2.3 trillion US dollars. It may be more, because these are figures from 2019. We equally welcome an opportunity to engage and interact with all of you. We hope you'll ask us some questions so that we can answer you directly in real time, including our sisters and brothers from our diaspora right across the globe. We didn't know what to expect coming to this gathering, but we're excited because, as I said, it gives us an opportunity to get to know one another. But now that we have seen that we are part of a bigger family, we are confident that this is, well, yes, the first engagement, but it is not the last. And let me take just an opportunity to acknowledge all our youth, because in South Africa, we celebrate Youth Month in June, the 16th of June being the Youth Day. May it be a reflective and constructive Youth Month this year. To come to your question, I'll be very brief, Your Royal Highness. I see myself just as a diplomat. I love being a woman. But in this instance, I do the same job as other diplomats. I work as hard and smart as other diplomats. And in some instances, I dare say I work harder and smarter than some, precisely because I am a woman. For me, diplomacy affords me an opportunity to be a representative of many others. So it's a position of agency. I don't sit in the position that I sit in for myself, I sit for others. So this means one has to recognize quite early on And as you so correctly pointed out, there are impediments when you're a woman. People, even your colleagues, don't look at you as an equal, but they look at you sometimes as an equal, but a woman equal, which means you have to redouble your efforts to produce as much as they are producing. But because you are a woman, you tend to want to produce even more than others are producing. And diplomats or ambassadors, let me say, will invariably be parts of a family. I'm part of a family, as you correctly said. So it is imperative that on a daily basis, I cover all my bases. I start with nurturing the children in the morning, making sure that they are in the right frame of mind to go to school, then touch base with my spouse to make sure that when all is said and done, I still have an intact family. And then I throw myself into my work. But as you pointed out, being a woman, it becomes difficult sometimes to hold on to positions that are accorded to us as so-called leaders. But it's important to remember why you are in whatever position you are in. Our embassy, for instance, plays a role in various areas. We are here to attract trade and investments for our country, but we don't do anything leaving behind the Continental framework, which is Agenda 2063, where we say, this is the blueprint of the Africa we want. So we attract these opportunities for our country and for our continent. Not just trade and investments. We have youth who unfortunately continue to bear the brunt of unemployment or joblessness and poverty, which is very painful because you have young people who take themselves to school, who push themselves as much as possible, some coming from very disadvantaged families. And when they get to the other side of the finishing line, they find themselves unemployed. So one of our key areas of priority here is to attract educational opportunities, training, skilling, and reskilling opportunities to make sure that our youth are a perfect fit for our various economies. Because you find unemployed graduates in their thousands, especially in my country, if I may mention this. But we keep getting told that we don't have skills, but we have these unemployed graduates. So this is an opportunity for us to say, here, our youth, skill them, reskill them. We are partners, we are friends, long-standing friends. So the best that we can do is to make sure that we meet each other halfway, to make sure that our youth enjoy the fruits of the work of our forebears. So those are the things that keep me awake at night, to make sure that we rebuild our economies. We make sure that we bring our youth to the center, to make sure that they don't just hear about the prosperity of Africa, or that the prosperity that we are trying to lift for our continent, but they are part of rebuilding these economies and making sure that the continent prospers, and they are part of driving whatever positives come from our continent. I will pause there for now, Excellency, and Your Royal Highness, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Your Excellency, Madame Yolisa Meyer. Our next person, the next ambassador, is the ambassador of Kenya to Ireland, Ambassador Michael Muber. From November 2019 till date, Ambassador Michael has been the Kenyan ambassador to Ireland. He is passionate about children and has made visits to schools in Ireland. When he makes these visits, he's delighted to see the exchange of letters between schools and how pupils promote health and well-being in line with the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. Your Excellency, the question is, how can we work on the African culture to make it suitable to address modern issues? African culture, how do we work on that to make it sustainable, to make it suitable to address modern issues?
Allow me to begin by thanking you, Princess Pamela, the AIDO group, the Excellencies and Highnesses present, all who are here today. Allow me also to acknowledge the past speakers who have articulated very lively issues that we have to contend with or we are contending with. Before I try to share my thoughts on the culture and how we can use culture to influence the world, allow me just to mention my appreciation, deep appreciation for particularly the figures we have gotten today, the initiatives that are taking place on the diaspora. I was very impressed to hear that the diaspora population is 140 million people. And I was just asking myself that if, say, 140 million people decided to contribute $100 per person, and it's all remitted to Africa, what would happen? That's quite some good money. And that's the conversation I believe we are having, the role that each one of us has towards promoting development in Africa. I also want to appreciate in a very special way the youth who have just spoken. Like you did say, Pamela, I'm very passionate about young people, and I could see the fire in the young people. And when, like Benjamin, when he was talking about the youth must ask, must be part of the answers to the challenges that we are facing, and it's a question of what can I do, to make a difference. When you look at the children, those ones who are in school today, there is what the world is teaching them. And what the world is teaching them, and this is of concern to all of us, is that our culture is not important. They should not know about our culture. It should be looked at like it's old-fashioned. I was reading a document in Ireland on how they are going to grow their markets out there. And one of those documents was talking about tampering with the taste buds so that to create a market for their goods. I know many of us have young children, we have the youth in our respective homes, and when you talk about the food that they eat, it's not the traditional food that some of us grew eating. It's more about pizza, it's more about the burgers, it's more about food that is not healthy. And therefore, I really agree with Benjamin when he talks about, are we questioning the young people? Are you even questioning the kind of food that you are eating? So for me, culture is important, and culture, I would say also, is not static. Culture changes. It is modernized. When I look at the group today and the way we are dressed, there is a way we are dressed that reflects our culture. So when you talk about, say, for example, the attire we wear, that is important culture. When you talk about the hairstyle, you know, I'm shocked to hear that braids in some parts of the world are not allowed. That is part of our culture. So culture is important, but we need to go beyond the culture. Culture is not about what we wear; it's what we believe. You know, as Africans, we must and first and foremost be proud of who we are. We must be proud of our practices, of our music, of our achievements. You know, I was speaking in another forum, and I was saying that when you look at Africa today, there has been a very deliberate move towards reflecting us in bad light, so that we are not proud of who we are, so that we are not proud of our culture. But we must be so deliberate to appreciate the key achievements that we have registered over a period of time. Today, Africans are in the leadership. You know, we have global organizations which are actually being driven by Africans. We must be proud of this. So when we talk about culture, culture is a thought process. What are the seeds we are planting in our young children? In Ireland, I have promoted children who got to Kenya for vacations. And when they got to Kenya, they got to good schools where they are able to see children of their age in school. And when they come back, because they are more interested in getting the feedback of what they learned, they are so impressed because they got to school and they realize that African kids are smart. They beat them in math, they beat them in English, they play games, and they are like, these children are good. There's no difference, between the two, Africans and the Irish. And this is something I want to encourage all of us. We must reflect ourselves wherever we are in a positive light. We must be positive of who we are. We must be so conscious of who we are. We should not be sorry about it. We should not be sorry about it because we are fantastic people. I think also another thing we need to think about, even as we talk about culture, we have the Africa Vision 2063, and this vision has key outcomes, and one of those outcomes is improved living standards. We have children who are in school. We have young girls who still are struggling with the sanitary towels. I think it behoves us, to do something about it. We are in that point of where we are always looking at the government. What is the government going to do about this? What is the government going to do about the other? But I think as people who are out there, as people who are keen on influencing the world, we must relate with it back home, so that these children can actually rise up to our level without being subjected to these inhuman treatments. So I think culture is important. Culture is, we are sustaining it very well. I love it when and allow me just to go back to the example of the hairstyles. I'm so impressed when I see, like in Kenya, I see tourists come and they put on those braids, and when they go back home, you find that they are emulating, we are influencing their hairstyles. Can we do more? Can we do more even when we are out there? Can we allow hairstyles, them to put on hairstyles that are typically African? Because we must influence. We must influence diet, food. Like in Ireland, we have been discussing this with fellow ambassadors. I'm happy with a few Africans who have establishments, but they have not come up with traditional African dishes. This morning, I was talking to one of my colleagues, ambassador, and he was like, he's looking forward to a day he will walk into a hotel and get some milk, not yogurt, typical homemade milk, so that he can enjoy the sour milk as a traditionally made back at home. So, can we try to influence our children in as far as diet is concerned, in as far as the dress code is concerned, in as far as fashion is concerned. And I believe this is going to be sustainable. But one thing is, let us be proud of who we are. If we are not proud of who we are, if we are not proud of our culture, I don't think there will be a day we'll talk about sustainable culture. But I am happy we have registered good progress, and I want to encourage all of us to keep it that way, and in fact it will increase the pace. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Your Highness. I think for now that's what I want to say.
Thank you very, very much, Ambassador Michael Muber. I want to welcome those that joined in later. We're talking about arts, culture, and heritage, which is the theme for Africa Day this year, building the Africa we want. And this aligns with the AU 2021 theme, and it focuses on emphasizing the importance of safeguarding the richness of African culture, promoting African integration, conflict prevention, as well as socio-economic growth. Thank you, Your Excellency, for pointing out to us that culture is very important. We must promote our culture. It is our heritage. We cannot say because we're in a foreign land, we want to actually just embrace somebody else's culture and forget about ours. There must be a balance. So culture is important. Like Our Excellency said, he said it is not static. So even if we are modernizing what we do, what we wear is important, what we eat is very important. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I will move on to His Excellency, Mr. Julius Peter Motu, the United Kingdom Ambassador to Uganda. Welcome, Your Excellency. Ambassador Motu, Ambassador Julius Peter Motu, is someone that has worked extensively in the business and NGO sector of Uganda and in East Africa. He served as the program manager with the Relief and Economic Recovery Project under USAID, and World Concern Director and CEO of large private sectors driven NGOs and organizations in Uganda, notably Ugandan National Farmers Federation. Wow, farming is the key now, because without farmers, we won't be here. We will all starve. Ambassador Motu is a determined, dedicated, and self-motivated professional with substantial skills in representations, advocacy, program management, resources, mobilization, community organizations, and development-based NGOs and other NGOs, NGOs. Welcome, Ambassador Motu. His Excellency will be speaking on opportunities in Uganda. Welcome once again, Ambassador Peter Motu.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Your Excellency.
Well, I want to thank all the ambassadors and high commissioners online, the resident ambassadors from Africa in Ireland, and all the invited guests online, courtesy of AIDO network. I have changed the topic a little bit. The questions that were addressed to me, I mainly focused on trade as a main driver of cultural evolution. I thank all Africans all over the world on this occasion when they remember Africa through the Africa Day. Now, the Africa Day started on 25th May, following the historical event that created the Organization of African Union, OAU, that is Organization of African Unity. way back in 1963, at a time when a lot of African countries were getting political independence from the British and from Europeans. Ladies and gentlemen, you recall that Europeans occupied Africa for over 70, some or 80 years. Don't forget your history. And that history really contributed to the dismantlement of African culture, businesses, investments, education system. Before the Europeans came to Africa, Africans were great. You need to buy a book written by Walter Rodney, yeah?
Yeah.
How Europe underdeveloped Africa. Read all of it. You will cry. You will still wonder why Africans want to run to Europe.
Yeah. True.
I can hear some concerns in the background. For example, they found in the ancient city of Mali, they found the University of Timbuktu. Yeah? University of Timbuktu had the largest collection of books written by Africa. They banned all these universities and civilizations and cultures. They killed almost every occupant in that city. They destroyed the culture through barbaric actions. Now it is time for us to revive through trade. Millions of Africans disappeared through transactional slavery. These injustices have never been corrected because Africans, the culture and the fabrics of Africa were completely eliminated during the transactional slave trade and occupation of Africa. Going forward, because I look to the future, and this is where the future of African youth really lie. Though we should not decry so much what happened in the historical perspective, we need to bear in mind that some of these injustices, we have to dismantle them and create the Africa we want through trade and investment. Fellow ambassadors and attendees online, I wish to remind and point to you out that there is the African Continental Free Trade Area, which was founded in 2018 by 54 African countries out of 55. The idea behind it is removing all trade barriers that affect trade among African countries. Now, we are talking about culture and the Africa we want. How can we sustain or develop African cultures when it is so difficult to move from one African country to another? Yeah? Through the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is the engine for growth of Africa now and in the future, we hope to see more investments attracted in Africa by Africans themselves, like our forefathers did it before the European barbarians came to Africa. The forefathers did it. How were the Egyptian pyramids built? I believe some of you traveled to Cairo and you saw those magnificent civilizations, the relics of civilization. And some of the proof of the African civilizations and culture, they're in European museums. If you visited museums in UK, in Ireland, in France, all over Europe, you'll find relics of African civilization. Products of civilization stolen and brought to Europe. Yeah, the Africa we want should be driven by trade and investment. If you want the African women and youth emancipation, you don't need to come to Europe. We need to dismantle trade barriers and embrace the principles of free trade. You want to sustain a culture, you have to trade more with one another so that you can import good practical cultural practices from other areas and weave it into yours and make it productive and beneficial. The ambassador of Kenya in Ireland just mentioned it. Say, tourists are beginning to wear African clothes and braids and bangles. Why? Because they are able to move freely within Africa. But it becomes so difficult for Africans to move freely within Africa. I'm now coming to a conclusion. The Africans in diaspora, not all of them, those with investment capacities, those who can mobilize capital, and those who have entrepreneurial capabilities, we urge you to register companies in Africa. Well, I'm not talking about Uganda per se, I'm talking about Africa as a block of 1.2 billion consumers. It's a very big block. Now, once you register companies in Africa, because we want you to follow the laws of investment in Africa, you will be able to tap development finance in our national development banks and commercial banks scattered all over Africa. Yeah? What you require would be a well-written business and marketing plan. That is, if you are an entrepreneurial individual or person. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. This is the only way we can sustain the African culture. I saw the monuments which were presented earlier by our great artist, the young man. How will we sustain all these monuments? We need to generate our own revenue and be proud of it. Yeah? These investments that you will engage in should be in line with respective country development priorities, yeah? Especially those ones that focus on value chain development, the entire value chain in agriculture, in mining, in real estates, in hospitality, in the travel industry, in ICT, health, art and culture. These now have great potential to reignite growth and wealth creation in Africa. Remember, I told you, these things existed before Europeans came to Africa. This is a historical fact. Now we need to revive it. There are a lot of opportunities in Africa, and we should be proud of each and every one culture that exists in Africa. There is no culture which is backward. This needs to be transformed into enterprises, weave it into enterprises, and the ultimate beneficiaries are the African youth. And this will be the Africa we want. A lot of people are dying in the Mediterranean Sea, coming to Europe. To do what in Europe? Mm-hmm. When we can actually do these things in Africa. Now we call upon those educated Africans with capital and entrepreneurship abilities to come and invest in Africa. This is the only way we can stop cultural degradation in Africa. We should be proud. It should be the other way around. I thank you for listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Julius Peter Motu. That is very important. I mean, if we want to sustain our culture, if we want to keep Africa moving, as entrepreneurs, we must transform what we have. We must follow the laws of investment and tap on opportunities that we have. We shouldn't allow foreigners to come to Africa to steal what we have and then bring it to Europe, and then we rush to Europe because we just want to be here, and then they sell these things back to us. So we must start thinking And I believe that even it's not just selling and buying that actually talks, that actually makes an entrepreneur. There are so many ways that we can be entrepreneurs. Thank you once again, Your Excellency, Mr. Julius Peter Motu. Now we will move to the Ethiopian ambassador in Ireland, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Mr. Eshetu Daisy Hodofa. Mr. Daisy Hodofa has a master's degree in organizational leadership from Azusa Pacific University, California, USA. He has a BA degree in economics, Civil Service College, Civil Service University, that was in 1998. And he has a diploma in mathematics from Kotobe College of Teacher Education. He served as Speaker of Oromia Regional State Council, which is Parliament, before being appointed as an ambassador. Welcome, Your Excellency. I will go straight to the question. Just a minute, please. The question is, Africa was colonized by foreign powers during the scramble for Africa, except Ethiopia and Liberia. Now, a lot of people are asserting that could this have contributed to the country's poor economic status? We want you to let us have your opinion on this, Your Excellency.
Thank you. I would like to thank all Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, especially AIDO Network, to have this opportunity. It's my pleasure to explain my opinion on this area. The previous speakers says a lot of on the African issue. It's very interesting, especially Ambassador Julius explained in a beautiful words about the colonialists in Africa. So I will explain shortly what is the objective of colonialists and what impacts are bring to Africa and what we will do in the future. The objective of colonialization is to gain political dominance and make exploitation of the colonized countries. It is enriched to colonize a nation by exploiting an area, physical, human, and economic resources. They are, at that time, they have goals. The first one is to meet the demand for raw materials for their industries. Most European countries, when they scramble Africa, they are develop industrialization. So the emergency of industrial revolution, as well as dramatic change in the socio-economic transformation and the technology in European countries, increases the need of the demand in raw materials for their industries. This is one reason to scramble Africa. The other one is for declining in agriculture production in Europe, especially by changed socio-economic condition in Europe to produce enough and adequate food to feed the rapidly rising urban population, and they need additional lands for producing adequate food to feed the urban population in their country. The third one is to meet the need of manpower for their mining in Africa, in their country, and different plantations, especially for industrials. So they mobilize a lot of slaves from Africa by colonizing Africans. Finally, they need to invest surplus capital from which generates from the industry in Europe. Capital is underutilized in Europe, and they need where these capitals will be invested. Because of this, colonialists had to take direct control out of African economy and political administration at the same time. As a result, Africa was forced to pressure to accept the International Division of Labor, which assigned her to compulsory role of producing primary goods or agricultural raw materials required by European industries. This also explains why Africa is consumer of produced commodities from other countries. Still, Africans are consumer societies. What impact comes to Africa through this process? Of course, some people say colonialists built some social and economic infrastructures. But as mentioned before by Ambassador of Uganda, they brought Western education to Africa. But when examined this critically, it reveals the wholeness or emptiness of the colonial education, because it was not based on African culture. It was unable to generate meaningful development within the Africa setting due to lack of organic linkage with African culture and African faith. Its goal was train clerk, interpreters, produce inspectors, artisans, and others in reading and writing, so that they might better use Africans' vast resource for them. Their goal was not to industrialize African territories or to promote technology development in African context. So this is the main problem what colonialists create in Africa. The other one is the raw materials generated by Africans were sold in low price and not utilized by industries in Africa. They are take to their own industry in Europe, rather by the companies in order to their countries. So in this context, Africans were bought the manufactured goods from their country by the expensive price. This is the other economic problems which created on Africa through colonial era. As a result, there was no organic linkage between African agricultural sectors because all agricultural products, raw materials are sold without processing. The African economy has been unable to progress since the colonialists' surplus profit has not been plowed back into the economy or invested in it. This is where the accelerator and the multiplier effect necessary for economy advancement and development come into play. The economy can accelerate or multiplier effects if the surplus is invested in Africa. If the profit generated from Africa, they must be invested in Africa. Otherwise, the African economy cannot accelerate. The other area which can be seen, the transport network. The transport network developed was mostly railway and seaports, which did not to connect different towns and rural areas of purpose of the effective communication and the development of the community. There was no serious efforts to develop well-organized road network that would improve the lives of Africa and their interconnection with their neighbors in the different parts of the territories. They developed the transport system only for transporting the raw materials from where they mining to the seaport and to export to their countries. So colonialism changed African colonies' economic and political structure to be aligned with needs of the metropolis. It ensures that African economy and political structures, both in terms of form and content, served the interest of their home government. For all intents and purposes, colonialism was damage to Africa. So what should African must do? As most of the speakers says before me, the first thing for Africa needs is the strong institution, the strong and sustainable institution. Most of African countries have lack of sustainable and strong institution. We need strong and sustainable institution for development of Africa. The second one is the appropriate policy and the commitment of our leadership to implement that policy, which based on the African culture, African context. And the other one is to strengthen African countries' cooperation, especially through AIDO. If we are doing this and others, which is indicated by other speakers, Africa is the hope content, because Asians develop from 40 to 60 years. And if Africans learn from different corners of the world and take the experiences, we can also succeed our development within less than these years. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Desi Hodofa of the Ethiopian mission in Ireland. Because we don't have so much time, we're meant to go on to the second questions, but I think what we will do now is to throw the floor open to our participants. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have ideas, and if you have opinion that you want to give our ambassadors and our other participants, the floor is open. I want to mention actually that we do have someone in our midst who has a comment to give, and she is Salome Mbugwa. She's a human rights commissioner in Ireland. She founded the African Women's Network, AIDO, Akina Dadawa Africa. And over 2 decades, AIDO has gained recognition as a leading NGO, highlighting issues faced by African women. AIDO works with activists, policymakers in Ireland to influence gender policies and practice. Dr. Salome Mbugua would like to say a few words to buttress the points of ambassadors, especially the ambassador to South Africa, Mrs. Yolisa Maya. She would like to say a few words. Dr. Salome Mbugua.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pamela. I don't know whether people can hear me. As Pamela have mentioned, my name is Salome and I live in Ireland. And just actually to observe all the protocols in terms of all the ambassadors who are speaking today, the AIDO, whom I know most of them actually from Ireland, and the great work that they do and bringing people together. So it's actually needed to celebrate all of you on this Africa Day. It's also Madaraka Day in Kenya. I'm Kenyan by nationality, although I've been in Ireland for the last 27 years. And our ambassador spoke earlier, but it's really a great day for us as Kenyans because it's the day we got actually that self-reliance, that we were able actually almost to gain the full independence. And so today is a great day for Kenyans and we are celebrating it. Just to say that, you know, as a diaspora woman who have lived in Ireland for so long, and as a strong believer of the role of diaspora and the role that they are playing in the African continent itself, we really want to request our continent to embrace us, you know, as people who are contributing heavily with the maintenances, but also contributing with our skills, our knowledge, and everything that we have that we bring back to our continent. Our ambassador from Kenya mentioned, you know, on the if we all contribute, I think it's our ambassador from Kenya who spoke about if we all contribute 100 or even 10 euro to actually be able to transform things in Africa in a meaningful way. And I was in a meeting this week where we spoke about the diaspora philanthropy, you know, to Africa, because we have other continents like the Asian continent who actually organize themselves very well. And so I think the diasporas, wherever they are from Africa, whether in Europe or around the world, we will be thinking about how we can actually progress to support Africa in a very meaningful way. And not only our own country, like where we come from Kenya, I'm also actually supporting projects and quite often visiting other African countries. I worked in Uganda for a long time, and I'm also linked with the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I'm hoping to go to Nigeria and other countries. So we should not just limit ourselves to our own countries. If we have anything to share, we should actually feel free to move around the continent. And that goes back to one of the ambassadors who mentioned how it's also very difficult for Africans to move within their own continent. You need to change money, you know, currencies are different. You need visas for some countries. I think our African leaders need to look into that in progressing and moving forward. Within the 2030 agenda, we're also talking about not leaving anyone behind. And I link it with the 2063 agenda and aspirational number 6, where we say very clearly that we have to ensure the development of the African people is driven, you know, with the potential of the African people, including women themselves, because women and the youth are playing a huge role. We all know by 2015, we'll be the continent with the highest population of the youth or young people. And as we talk, 77% of the population is actually below the age of 35. So we have a huge number of young people living with the African continent, and the continent needs to invest on the young people, coming up with innovative ideas and innovative ways of how we can actually come out of poverty and come out of the dependency of the colonizer, you know, and the charity model. We have to leave it behind, because I work with an organization called Wezesha, which actually look into this model of how do we talk of enabling and empowerment within African continent itself, because it's a rich continent that just need people to work in a united form and to work well, to be able actually to, you know, transform African fully. We are the one actually who are holding Africa. Africa in itself is reliant. It would not even need any other people from outside to come and help us. We can help ourselves, but by working smartly and actually being able to unite. So in terms of really like talking from this day and this liberation week, African Liberation Week, it's needed to ask the African continent to embrace the diaspora, to really, like, you know, also look at us with the people who need dual citizenship. I thank Kenya because we have dual citizenship, you know, as people living in Ireland, but also people living in, you know, who would like to also call ourselves Kenyans and put braids on and do our food and music. So we really need our own countries to be able to give us that dual citizenship. I know there are many countries that don't have that, including countries like Democratic Republic of Congo, and I don't know about others. So we really need huge support from our own continent. We can't be called that we are the 6th continental element like that when we are not being embraced, and yet we are sending a lot of money. We are actually doing horticultural farming even from Europe. Most of us, you know, are investing back home, but you also need trust and security. Let me not talk so much because I'll take much time, but I can talk another time, just to say that we need to be embraced. We need to be acknowledged, and acknowledged in a meaningful way. We have the potential to transform Africa in a meaningful way, and our youth are the answer to all what you're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salome Mbugua. Thank you so much. I will hand over to the moderator in another couple of minutes because we don't have much time. We had another set of questions for our ambassadors, but we will take that in the next series. Like I said at the meeting we had with the ambassadors, this one is the beginning of series. This is the first one, and then we will have subsequent ones. And I just want to say at this point that I want to once again acknowledge the president of AIDO International, His Excellency Paul Eganda, and his Queen Grace Eganda. I am proud to be an AIDO family. I am the AIDO ambassador to Nigeria, and the AIDO family will be visiting Nigeria very soon. And believe it, we're not boasting. We're going to let you know that we are different from other countries when it comes to entertainment and fun. So thank you, everybody. We will always be celebrating Africa Day to commemorate and celebrate the lives of those who fought for this continent, for the African continent, and to protect its right to be recognized as legitimate world players. Thank you very much. I'll hand over back to the moderator, and then she will introduce the next guest. Thank you so much.
Indeed, thank you very much, Princess Toyin. Thank you very much, who has been moderating this wonderful panel, invigorating conversations. And as we all have agreed, this is just the beginning. I would like to believe that in the short space of time, we will be calling back and now zooming in at a certain topic. So we will be having much more time and focus time. Thank you very much. We also would like to appreciate our social media audience that are following us. We'd like to appreciate even those that are here on the Zoom with us, to say, just hold on to the seat where you are. Do not leave us. We are still continuing, but we are just about 2 items to get to the end. I see that Paul Litima has a hand up, and a student, I don't know, our student brother has a hand up. I'm really going to be 1 minute, just 1 minute, so that we can get on with the program. Paul Litima, you may say what you want to say, ma'am. We welcome you from Lesotho.
Thank you, Princess Tsepi, and hello, everyone. It's going to be a quick one, really, and not even a question. Just a comment that we really do appreciate this initiative. I work for the organization that is called GEM Institute. We work with youth, and what we are doing is to promote creative and cultural industries in Lesotho. For one reason, because it looks like the CCI industry is still at the bottom of the food chain. And we need to do something about that. Your film, your drama, your performance issues. And during COVID, we really have experienced another dynamic that the industry was further pushed down the food chain. When everybody else is out seeking a livelihood, the industry has been completely shut down. In Lesotho, I don't know what is the situation in other countries, but we are beginning to see an emerging mass, critical mass of young people that are occupying the industry. So what are we going to do about it? I'm just flagging it so that it becomes a continued conversation, and a serious conversation for that matter, because I think sometimes when adults don't take the creative industry very seriously, they think it doesn't affect other people because they already have their own professional lives made up. So when we talk about young people, let us think about these emerging industries as very important emerging spaces for young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is Mpho Litima. Paul, you now know about AIDO. we probably are going to have you as our first member of AIDO in Lesotho. And also would like to say Ntate Mohlompe Kulumi has already heard you, and we are very, very pleased that he has spoken so very well. And you know what? What a wonderful way to introduce AIDO Lesotho through you and through Ntate Mohlompe as well. Thank you very much. Our student, I don't have your name, sir. You also have a minute exactly. Take up the podium.
I'm so sorry. It's my computer has a student, but I'm Reverend Jean-Claude. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce of the DRC Congo based in Washington, D.C. And my question is not really a question, but is a kind of motivation, a push, because all of us were talking about trade with Africa, all of us were talking about doing something in Africa, but it's important for us to push on infrastructure in Africa. It's good for us to push on action plan and projection of what really we are willing to do. Because if we speak about being African, we have other brothers who are European and Asian. You see that in their actions or plan, they have a speed. They move fast. But for us, we don't move fast. We are very slow. It's important for us to know that it's important to move fast and to take action quickly in order for Africa to become really the next market. I'm involved in a lot of projects, but I know that we are very slow in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you. What I like is I'm going to say the same words. You are now probably are going to be introducing AIDO DRC, and also you can connect to us. We do have the AIDO chapter in the USA, and if you can follow us, and you can even put your details in the chat, and my colleagues are going to be taking up. So you know what, you and Mpo, we are going to be starting the new chapters in your respective. Thank you very much for those comments, and we are going to be working together so that we run faster. There is that proverb that says so. Thank you very much. Now, I don't want to be taking up any more time. My boss, our boss, the vice president, the global vice president of AIDO Network, His Excellency, Ambassador Areno Namboka. Please take up the podium, sir. I apologize for taking up those 2 minutes from you.
Royal Majesty King Bongani III of Embo Kingdom, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors and high commissioners to the Republic of Ireland who have graced this discussion today, please all protocols observed. I have a very humble role to play at this point in our discussions, namely to echo the appreciation that has been expressed by very many distinguished personalities for the work AIDO is trying to do in the name of Africa's unity, Africa's brotherhood, Africa's pride and self-respect. This is the message that is strictly cultural. The last commentator has just given me something to comment on, that Africa tends to be sluggish and slow when everybody else in the world is fast. But maybe people are slow but effective. You can be fast and mess up things, so let's try to strike a balance. That was just a small African attitude that we don't seem to be going very fast, but we can be very, very effective. Africa's dream today, based on the Africa we want, the youth of Africa today want, the majority of the African people in the world want. And this afternoon we've seen Africa's children from the Americas. We've heard from the president of the 6th Global Chamber of Commerce in Panama preparing a project. We've heard about the young man who has undertaken the mother statue, the notion of Africa carrying a very special symbol, and the lady that programmed him to speak to us. We as Africans of the continent are being invited to recognize the Africanness, the vibrant Africanness that is in the diaspora, our diaspora. So this afternoon, we're hearing very many things. The distinguished ambassadors who represent Africa in Europe speaking about what needs to be done. And we've heard what Africans who are descendants of those of our grandfathers who did not have a chance to stay on the continent, but were taken away as slaves, however, left behind them the brothers and sisters we want to embrace. I think the last thing I wish to say is that AIDO, in the presence of these facts, has undertaken, as a matter of fact, a journey. Dr. Harris Barrows said there is a journey of taking the African kings and queens and Africa's great women and men to go to where Africa's children are and embrace them in the name of reconciliation, atonement, and reunion. This is something that I owe to the leadership, to the able leadership of the president of AIDO, His Highness Paul Eganda Jones, who has been spearheading thinking, action, and planning. As we speak, we're just a year away from the event which will take place, which Dr. Barrow has briefed us, happily approving and telling us that the host country in the Americas, the Republic of Panama, has accepted that Africa's great people, Africa's cream of the cream, goes and meets the people that descend from our own grandparents, so that we give them credence, we make them see something attractive. And I'd like to borrow the wisdom the ambassadors have given us. Africa owes it to ourselves to give our descendants in the diaspora the dignity they want to see. We must behave better. We must lead ourselves better. I respect the comment by Salome Mbugua, who says we should stop being dependent. We should not be looking at philanthropy from others. We should be people that propel ourselves. And I think we as Africans owe it to ourselves. We must stop being the people that come to receive subsidies for our budgets. We need to show that our continent is rich, that we are intelligent people, that we've got self-pride, and stop running around begging. It is something that sells us badly. And there are people who are not giving a very good image of Africa. We must give the right image. If there are people that are bashing Africa, we Africans must stand up high and tall and show the world we came first, we civilized the world, and we will not be beggars. And we do not want to be told what to do. I think in conclusion, those are words I owed you, very, very respectable ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not fit to say anything before we have the very big privilege, and I leave this to our gracious princess who is conducting this program up to this point. But I'd like to leave you with your ears open to hear from higher above.
Bayete makhulukhulu, bayete wena wasembo, bayete mhlobo kanonkala, uhlaba ukhangela phungani, uhlaba ukhangela makhulukhulu, bayete, bayete mthimkhulu, bayete Radebe, bayete Bhuqwa, bayete Hlomo, bayete, 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 bayete. Bayete, 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 bayete Bhuqwa, bayete makhulukhulu, bayete Sothondose, bayete
Thank you very much. Today we are talking about Africa. Africa, it is indeed our motherland. But before I talk about that, I would like to pay homage to the victims of the mountain Nyiragongo. We are with their families in this dying time or period. We talk about building the Africa we want. I think it's very important for us to at least understand who we are first, because it is about identity. If you understand the history of the Europeans, when they came to this continent, they identified themselves as Europeans. So what is important, it is us identifying ourselves as the people of this continent. History informs us that we were the first people that were created by God. He placed us here on earth, and then he called us the Angoni people. What is Angoni people? Angoni simply means people who do not dwell into sin. If indeed we are people who are not supposed to be dwelling into sin, indeed we should thank the Creator, we should thank God for also giving us what we call melanin. Because not every human being does have melanin. And melanin, it becomes exceptional because it makes you to connect with the cosmos. It makes you to connect with God. It makes you to connect with waters. It makes miracle in your body. The mistake that we did as the people of color, we followed the evil people by totally detaching ourselves from the place of origin and from the connection of God. That is why we bear the sins today. But I always believe that it is never too late. That's how we lost our birthright. Today we are beggars because we have lost our identity as the people of color. Today we participated by selling our brothers and sisters into slavery. To us, it became a curse. Thus, it is important, all of us, to go back to the origin. If we are to talk about this continent, the greatest continent in the world, that is so rich with all the minerals, so rich with the vegetation, so rich with the culture, traditions, and customs. I hope, can you hear me? I hear voices in my background. Can I continue?
We can hear.
By it. Thank you very much. This is the continent that gave birth to civilization in Europe. This is the continent that taught Europe to be civilized. This is the continent that taught the world about arts and culture. That's why our brothers in the diaspora are excelling in every sphere of culture, music, whatever that you can call it. We taught Europe medicine. We taught them how to live in the civilized manner. Another thing that I want us to talk about is when the European came here, They say 400 years. I am saying 700 years, because if you would calculate 300 years with the Portuguese, 400 years with other colonizers, what did they do that was so exceptional? When Bismarck saw that the Europeans, when they were coming into our continent, they were fighting for all the resources. He saw that it is going to be a European war that was going to take place in an African soil. He called them through his sidekick, that is King Leopold. He organized a meeting in Germany as the chancellor. As he was organizing this meeting, what was the theme or the terms and reference of that meeting? Was about unity. That we are not going to be embarrassing ourselves in front of those creatures. We are not going to embarrass ourselves in front of those monkeys when we fight for the scramble of the minerals in the continent. Thus, they sat down and agreed for a way forward. I think as the people of this continent, we also need to reflect to that and learn from that. Today, we are fighting against each other based on colonial divisions. Today, we refer to each other as the people of the Anglophones, Francophones, Lusophones, and that thing does not exist. We are the people of this continent. We are one. Today we are fighting because we believe that the other people are not rightfully supposed to be where we are. And we isolate ourselves. I once lived in Paris in the early 80s. When you reach a traffic signal, whilst you are waiting for a car to pass, when you find your brother or your sister at the traffic signal, she or he would move away from you because he or she does not want to be identified with you. To me, it becomes a problem. It means what we need to do, it is to go back and reflect who we are. Whilst we are doing that, we are creating a sin to the Creator. So we need to go back and identify ourselves as the people who are chosen, spiritual people. Because when you dwell into spirituality, you dwell into divinity. I'll talk about this because it is very important to me. Today we are divided because we do not have this sense of identity. If all of us could understand that we are the chosen people, the chosen nation, we are the eyes and the ears and the mouth of the Creator on earth. Thus we are referred as the Angoni people, because He entrusted us with these minerals that He has put into this continent. This is a continent that has so much minerals than other continents in the world. You find everything that you can find than in other continents. So what we need to do is to align ourselves spiritually, so that we build a culture and a tradition that is divine. If we're able to do that, let me tell you the trait that we are talking about as brothers and sisters, because we have an identity. Today we call ourselves as the people from the continent and refer to our brothers and sisters as the people of the diaspora. But if we can decamp from these colonization terms, we would be able to see each other as brothers and sisters. Let me tell you an example. When Europeans, regardless of where they come from, When they land at the shores of OR Tambo, they are regarded as Europeans. They don't care where they come from. And when we see them, we call them white people. Why can't we call ourselves as the people of color, black people, or Africans from this continent, wherever we meet each other? Today, we regard ourselves as the most educated people. Yes, Timbuktu was there. Yes, we created civilization. Yes, Kemet was there. Yes, there was a civilization before other continents were civilized. But why can't we go back and re-own and reclaim our birthright? Today, with all these trees that we can create medicines, that we can create in the world. Today we find people from other countries, especially in Europe, they come and patent our type of medicine. And they come and tell you, this is the medicine that comes from Europe. Today, gold, minerals are being put into the stock exchange where they don't even have it. They determine the price of gold. The very same people. The same gold that you owe. Because why? You have sold your birthright. You have sold your human being into the people who had nothing. I am humbling myself to the people of the world, especially our brothers and sisters, that you find the whole world. Say, let us come together, let us swallow our pride and see each other as brothers and sisters. Because if it was not because of Bismarck, we wouldn't have borders in the continent. If it was because of slavery, we wouldn't have separated today as brothers and sisters. I am talking about the children of this continent who are of royal blood. Today they are nobodies. You find them in the Americas, you find them in Europe, you find them all over the world. But these are children who are born out of royal. But today they don't have an identity. I am calling upon you to say, can we come back and reclaim our thrones? Let us reclaim our destiny. Today we've got a problem that is killing the whole world of what we refer as COVID-19. But let me tell you, why don't we have our medical research institutes in the continent where we can design our own vaccines? Today, our people of color, like me and you, are the ones that invented a lot of invention in the world. Why can't we reclaim it and say it is an invention of our people in the continent? We are talking about trade. Yes, we must do it. But I think it starts somewhere. It begins with the identity of ourselves as one people that were born in the Congo, that was born in an area where humanity first began. We are a shame to the world because we kill each other. We are ashamed today as the governments of this continent asking for a vaccine from European countries. We are a disgrace. Let me repeat that. We are a disgrace because we are inventors, but we don't recognize that. Today, we are told by people who don't even have a knowledge of those vaccines. They tell you this is the right vaccine. But I think we as the brothers and sisters of this continent, we can do better. We can do better and reclaim our birthright as the people of this continent. We are ashamed by taking our children from this continent to go to the hospitals in Europe. Europe was created and it was built by your powers, by your minerals. You can't go back to those people and ask for donations. You can't ask for money from the people who stole from you. You need to reclaim your destiny as the people of this continent. I am saying, as we are meeting, I want to further make these recommendations to ourselves that we need, as the people of color, to create an international movement that is going to work very close with our people in the world. We need to organize ourselves under an organization that aligns itself with divinity, that aligns itself with God, because all of us have lost that. Today, greed comes from people who do not align themselves with the Creator. So I am humbling myself to you to say, can we form an international organization that would be responsible on our being as the people of this continent? Let's create a social movement that is going to create trade, that is going to create trade under one umbrella. Let us create an organization that is going to entice our people to come back and invest in the continent. Do you know that we, as the people of color, we are the most powerful buying power in the world? If all of us can decide not to go and buy from the European shops, Europe will collapse. If we can rebuild our economy in the continent, let me tell you, and if we can unite, let me tell you, we are going to have the best continent that even our forefathers, they will be turning in their graves, dancing in their graves to say, this is what we wanted to achieve. It is upon you, our people in the world. Let us come together and live above our tribal differences. Let us live above our status, and let it be done under the name of unity and under the name of prosperity for our continent, for our generations to come, so that they find a better continent, a better world. We've got so much sun in this continent, but we are not utilizing it into creating energy. Today, our energy is determined by the very same people. They tell us this is how we will do load shedding for you, not today, not when. But if all of us can create our own electricity and owned by us, we create our own currency that we are going to be trading. We create a parliament that it is not connected to any colonial attachment, but our own independent parliament that is going to service our own people, with no attachments or any material attachment, but it is for the love of our continent. Let me tell you, we'll build the best continent in the world. I look at Europe when I visit. Those buildings that you see, those monuments that you see, they were created by your money. We can do better, we can do more. In closing, I would want us to unite under the Spirit of God. We remove the spirit of Lucifer in our systems. Then let me tell you, all of us shall prosper. Because in the Bible it says you first tap into the kingdom of God and all shall follow. So I'm humbling myself to say, let us unite, because unity, it is strength. I still repeat, unity, unity, unity. Unity, it is strength. Without unity, we are nothing as the people of this continent. Let us re-meet with our brothers and sisters, and let us be one. Let's create this movement under AIDO. I want to thank the president, the global chief of Embo Kingdom. I want to thank the ambassadors that were speaking here today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution, because if we don't come together, let's forget it. I want to thank also the ambassador of South Africa, Maya, Khatebe, Pungan, Makulukulu, I want to thank you, my sister, for being brave enough to stand for our people in the continent. I want to thank the ambassadors from Lesotho, Ethiopia. Yes, Ethiopia, they stood together. That's why they were able to defeat colonialism. That's why they were never colonized. Ethiopia created institutions that are the best today. That's why when you visit Ethiopia today, in Addis, you would find amazing things. They still keep a Christian Bible that was there 2,000 years ago. I was shocked when I heard it, because they are united and they are people that respect and fear God. When they go to work in the morning, they go to the church and go and pray. When they come back from work, they go to the church before they go home and pray. If all of us in the continent can live, and including the diaspora, as we will put it, if we can do that, let me tell you, God will bless us. Will bless us, and will never imagine how we're going to prosper. I want to thank everybody for this time and for allowing me to speak. We are one people. We are one people. Let us live above religious denominations. Today we fight each other because I say to people, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I am what. No, we must live above religious denominations. We are one Africa, we are one people. Unity is strength. Unity is strength. I thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Unity is strength. And let us go to Panama. Let us go and cleanse that area, because it is not only about slavery. America went and bombarded people of color in that area. It is upon us that we must unite and go and do the right thing. In closing, one old man, when I approached him one day, many years ago, I said to him, I'm having a difficulty of doing my things. He said to me, you must go back to the origin. If you want to prosper, go back to the origin. If you do that, all shall be well with you. And I'm appealing to all of you. If we go back to the origin and go and introspect ourselves, let us, introspect yourself. Who are you? Why were you brought onto this world? And if you have done that, you would see that you are a chosen person. Even Israel, today, they are fighting those people that you see there. These are not the occupants of that country. It is you, the people of color. You are the people who were living in Israel. You are the original Hebrews. Because if they were, they would never be bombing people the way they are bombing, because they would have what we call guilt conscience. They would be the people of Angoni. But because they are not, they are using your scriptures to do wrong things. They are using your scriptures to kill other people. It is your right now. It is your time to reclaim your destiny. I thank you. Bayete.
Bayete. Bayete Bongani.
Bayete.
Bayete. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have spoken. And what I would like to say, even as Karibea Tlokweng, who knows our culture, is that next time we will learn that once you have spoken, the meeting is closed. So now we are just carrying on as professionally, but we have learned and we acknowledge that we know that once you have spoken, Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have spoken so much and we are carrying on. This is the first and we will be meeting each other. What I'm taking home is that we are and we still are to even go back in being the people of purity, in being the people that are united, in being the people that are prosperous and people of wealth, spiritually, materially, and otherwise, in being people that lived with sharing, life of equality, that none was above the other. And now we are people of agriculturalists. We are people that owned the land and we were never even, how do I say, greedy about the land. There was no widow, there were no orphans because each one knew that you can go next door and the land will be given and allocated to you. And we had these cooperatives, we called it Letsema, where we know that all the villagers will be gathering together to help one another. There was no woman and there was no father, there was no home that was lesser than the other. Thank you very much. Bayete, bayete. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the final point, final item of our program. Yes, we are facing this load shedding here in Johannesburg, or in South Africa, should I say. So I will be calling upon His Royal Highness Prince Bimbo Robert Foloyan to please take up the stage with the closing remarks.
Princes and princesses, Your Excellencies, our ambassadors and high commissioners, all AIDOers and all the participants on this program. First of all, I would like to thank our king for His Royal Majesty King Bongane III for your passionate message. Very, very strong message. You took virtually everything out of my mouth, our king. I want to thank all the contributors, all the ambassadors. And in closing, I would like to say that we have all had the issues. We've also had about all the prospects. I have good news. Even though the world wants us to look at only the bad aspects that come out of Africa, but as all of us can see from some of the messages that we've had here this evening, the stage is actually set and everything is looking good for us as a people. Let's take a look at the indices for a while. Africa has the highest number of young people in the world. Today, Africa is the youngest continent with 60% of the African population under 25. What that means is that the future belongs to us. Every time I travel to Africa, particularly when I go to Nigeria, it's just youth. I'm an old man when I'm in Nigeria. And what that says to me is that the future is bright because God is giving us a second chance through the youths. Africa has a huge diaspora. From a population of 1.2 billion, we can see that we have about 140 million in the diaspora, which I believe is conservative because even we, the Yorubas, the ethnic group called Yorubas in Nigeria, we believe that we have about 70 million outside of Nigeria. Now look at all the other groups within Africa. So I believe that 140 million that we talk about is actually conservative. So when you look at it, these are the ambassadors that we have. These are the people who have been to different parts of the world and they've learned various technologies. They've learned various ways of doing things. They're in China, they're in South America, they're in different parts of Europe. They've learned different ways of doing things. And these are the things that we can deploy into the Africa of the future. Some few years back, myself and a British partner, we conducted a research. And it was a rough research. It was a kind of study. And we discovered that Africans in the UK alone have about 25 billion pounds sitting in banks, earning little or no interest at all. So, which was the reason why I took a step with my partners and we set up a Diaspora Investment Summit, which we conduct almost every year. We conduct almost twice in a year. And through that, we've been able to mobilize the diaspora to take resources back to Nigeria. So we're looking at taking this to Africa in the not very distant future. Now let's look at another fact. Africa has the richest concentration of natural resources in the world, such as oil, copper, diamonds, bauxite, lithium, gold, different types of resources, tropical fruits. So it's estimated that 30% of the Earth's mineral resources are actually found in Africa. So what this says to us is that the time for complaining is over. We can't complain anymore. What we need to do is to start to work. And this is where I just want to take a breather to congratulate the president of AIDO and the wife for the great work that they have started. And this is something that will take us to the next level. AIDO will take Africa to the next level. That's my belief. Because all we need to do is to get our hands dirty, to collaborate more. We start working together as Africans. I will say that for starters, all the African ambassadors in Ireland, you should start meeting. Some few years back, we were organizing ambassador meetings in the UK through the Nigerian High Commission, because at that time, the wife of one of our former High Commissioners was the president of the Association of the Wives. So we seized the opportunity to bring all the African ambassadors together in London. We celebrate them, and then we have some small seminar and talk about Africa. So please, in Ireland, let all the African ambassadors start to talk. Start to organize yourselves into meetings, and let's start working with you as diasporans. I live in the diaspora, so we're ready to work with you. So let us commence the journey of atonement. I'm the head of the Nigerian team, and I'm an advisor. I'm a member of the advisory and the arbitration board of AIDO. And one of the things that we want to do in Nigeria is to make sure that in the Nigerian chapter is focused purely on investment. But the journey of atonement is the first step that we need to make. Because if the Chinese, if the Indians, if all the other people can be coming to Africa to do good business and make profit, then we should be talking to our diaspora. We should be talking to them in Panama, in Brazil, in different parts of the world. We should reach out to them. That journey of atonement has to take place, and we are mobilizing for it when we get back to Nigeria to talk to the kings so that they are ready to go with AIDO to Panama, so to reconcile with our brothers and sisters, and also to invite them to start trading with us. And then also, we in Africa, we need to start trading. We need to start supporting ourselves as a continent. Also, I will talk about the return to Africa that we always talk about. Yeah, let's start to look at it as a spiritual return to Africa, so that when we get our diaspora to be interested in what we are doing in Africa, then that's a form of return in the spiritual way, and then we can start to do things together. So let's start to do business, let's start to do investment, and that's the only way we can create jobs for young people, because the young people, that the future that we have are the young people of Africa. And the only way we can keep them busy, the only way we can get to the Africa of our dreams is to make sure that those young people have work. So people of my generation have to start working, have to start looking for opportunities to create investment back in Africa. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Thank you very much for such wonderful words. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say we have now arrived at the end of our program. On behalf of His and Her Royal Highness, our President and Mama President, Uganda, the visionary himself, the one who thought it best to bring us together in this manner and fashion a few years ago, when he thought of this vision, when I believe God dropped this vision in his heart. And now we are seeing us growing, coming together. I would like to invite each one of us, and those that perhaps have just heard, those that are on social media, to say there is a lot of work. The room is still big. We need more hands on the deck. Come and join us. This is about Africa we want to see. This is about creating the Africa that we want to see. We want to leave the legacy that the generation that is going to be taking the baton into 2063, they will say, there lived kings and queens, princes and princesses, and even the excellencies. They left us with something that we can rejoice on. Let us erase what the past has put upon us. Let us restore one another spiritually and otherwise. I would like to say thank you very much on behalf of the leadership of AIDO, its network, its all chapters, and all its people. I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity, for celebrating with us. On myself, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to be the captain today, driving this ship that is so huge. I take it very seriously, and I'm very humbled and honored indeed. Thank you to every speaker that has left us with a message. We are taking home so much, and we are going to be digesting and working. Thank you very much. I don't want to make this mistake. The team that has organized this within a very short space of time, you have done such a wonderful, magnificent work. I would like all of us just to clap to that, clap or click or do anything that you can do to applaud this team. Mama Uganda, Mama Margaret, and all the team, our SG, our leadership, everyone who has been so much on the deck day and night to pull this, to make this event a success. We honor you, we thank you. We thank you so much. To all our audience that have been following us on social media, we also honor you, we thank you. Come next time, come again as even an I-doer. We call ourselves I-doers. We are people that are practical. We are people that speak less, but you see our actions. We are the voice to the voiceless. And tonight, I would like to say thank you just for a moment. Thank you very much. Let us meet again in a very short space of time. I suspect it might just be next month. And remember, we are preparing to go to Panama next year at this time. To everybody, thank you very much. May God bless you. May God bless Africa. Thank you. Good night from South Africa.
God bless Africa.
God bless Africa.
God bless Africa.
God bless
Africa. Thank you, my queen. Thank you.